This season, the NBA has been hit with something we have rarely seen before. A wave of devastating Achilles injuries striking some of the league's biggest stars. Jayson Tatum, Damian Lillard, and Tyrese Haliburton all went down within months of each other, leaving fans stunned and franchises scrambling. The Achilles tear is not just another injury. It is the kind of setback that can derail entire careers and reshape the balance of power in the league overnight. So why is this happening now, and what does it mean for the future of the NBA? Is it simply a cruel coincidence, or is the modern game pushing players' bodies beyond their limits? Today, we are going to break down what happened, why it matters, and what comes next. And along the way, I want you to think about your own answer to this question. Is the NBA asking too much from its stars? It all began early in the year when Jayson Tatum, in the middle of another All-NBA caliber season for Boston, collapsed on a drive, and the news soon confirmed what Celtics fans feared most, a torn Achilles that would sideline him for the entire campaign. Only weeks later, Damian Lillard, the veteran sharpshooter who had been carrying Milwaukee through tough stretches, went down in eerily similar fashion, and suddenly the Bucks had to face a future without their floor leader. Then came the blow in Indiana when Tyrese Haliburton, one of the brightest young guards in the league and the engine of the Pacers' offense, suffered his own Achilles tear during a seemingly routine play. 3 star players, 3 major franchises, all hit in a matter of months. If it were just one injury, we might chalk it up to bad luck. But when so many elite names are falling to the same devastating problem, it begins to feel like something larger is at play. Do you believe this is simply coincidence? Or are we seeing the first signs of a deeper crisis in the NBA? To understand why these injuries are so devastating, you need to know what the Achilles tendon actually does. It is the thick band of tissue that connects the calf muscles to the heel bone, and every explosive movement in basketball depends on it. Whether it is sprinting down the court, jumping for a rebound, or planting your foot to change direction. When the tendon tears completely, it feels to players like someone kicked them in the back of the leg even though no one touched them, and the road back is long and uncertain. Surgery is required in almost every case, and the recovery timeline is usually 9 to 12 months before a player can even think about stepping on the court again. History shows how brutal it can be. Kobe Bryant famously fought his way back after tearing his Achilles late in his career, while Kevin Durant returned and still played at an elite level. But others, like DeMarcus Cousins, struggled to regain their explosiveness. Medical advances have improved the odds, but the injury is still widely considered one of the worst an athlete can suffer. Do you think the Achilles tear remains a career killer in today's NBA, or has modern medicine really changed the outcome? Jayson Tatum was supposed to be entering the prime of his career, leading Boston with the confidence of a superstar who had already proven himself on the biggest stage. He was averaging elite numbers, the Celtics were viewed as legitimate title contenders, and then in a single moment, it all came crashing down. The sight of Tatum clutching his leg and needing help off the floor sent shockwaves through the league, because Boston without Tatum is not the same team. For fans, it was heartbreaking. For teammates, it was a reminder of how fragile championship dreams can be. And for Tatum, it marked the start of the toughest battle of his professional life. His absence has forced the Celtics to rethink their entire strategy, and it leaves everyone wondering what version of Tatum will return after such a serious injury. Will he be able to regain the same fluid scoring ability and defensive versatility that defined him? Or will Boston need to imagine a different future? Damian Lillard's story is different from Tatum's because he is not a rising star, but a veteran who has built his reputation on clutch performances and a relentless work ethic. For years, fans have admired his deep shooting range and his ability to deliver in the biggest moments, and with Milwaukee, he was expected to be the piece that could elevate the team to another championship run. When the Achilles tear struck, it was not just a physical setback, but also an emotional one, because for a player in his mid-30s, the clock is already ticking and every season counts. The Bucks suddenly lost their floor general and their emotional leader, and the question now is whether Lillard can recover enough to continue playing at the level that defined his career. Will his shooting and rhythm survive this kind of injury? Or will Milwaukee have to prepare for life without the version of Dame time that fans have come to love? Here we shift to the story of Tyrese Haliburton, a rising star whose season was shaping up to be his breakthrough before the Achilles injury struck him down. For Indiana, Haliburton was more than just a playmaker. He was the face of a franchise finally building momentum, a player who symbolized the promise of a new generation ready to lead the league into the future. His vision on the court, his ability to create for teammates, and his calm leadership had made the Pacers one of the most intriguing stories of the year. And then in one instant, that narrative collapsed. The Achilles tear is cruel for any athlete, but for a young guard whose game relies on quick acceleration and split-second decision-making, it can feel like the ultimate derailment. Fans in Indiana were left wondering what comes next, and the league as a whole lost one of its brightest young talents at the very moment he was capturing national attention. Injuries to veterans are tragic, but when they happen to players just entering their prime, they raise an even bigger question. What does this mean for the future of the game itself? Do you think Haliburton can ever return to the same level he was showing before the injury? Or will this be the turning point that reshapes his career forever? When we talk about so many Achilles injuries happening in the same season, the natural question is why? Is this just bad luck? Or are there deeper causes hiding in plain sight? One factor experts often point to is the extreme workload of the NBA calendar. With players traveling thousands of miles across multiple time zones, playing 3 or 4 games in a week, and facing back-to-backs that leave almost no recovery time. Modern basketball is faster than ever, with possessions shorter, spacing wider, and the demand on quick bursts of speed and constant cutting higher than in previous eras. That intensity puts enormous stress on the lower body, especially the Achilles tendon, which acts as a critical link in every explosive movement. Strength and conditioning coaches also highlight biomechanical factors, from the way players land after jump shots to the impact of year-round training that never allows true rest. Medical staff debate whether the shoes and floor surfaces used today are helping or hurting, since softer shoes and harder courts may create an imbalance that transfers force directly into tendons. Some analysts suggest that as salaries and TV deals have risen, teams feel pressure to play stars every night, limiting the effectiveness of load management. All these pieces together make it harder to say the crisis is only random. Do you think the league has created an environment where the human body simply cannot keep up? Or are these injuries still just an unfortunate coincidence amplified by the spotlight on big names? The wave of Achilles injuries has not only shaken teams and fans, it has also forced the league and the Players Association to respond. The NBA has publicly acknowledged the issue, with league officials emphasizing that player health is their top priority, while at the same time reminding everyone of the economic realities tied to an 82-game season and billion-dollar TV contracts. The NBPA, representing the athletes, has pushed for stronger conversations around workload management, stricter medical protocols, and even the possibility of re-evaluating the length of the schedule itself. Behind the scenes, there are reports of meetings where executives and union leaders debate whether the current pace of play and travel demands are sustainable. Some propose expanding rosters or giving teams more flexibility to rest stars without penalty, while others argue that fans and broadcasters demand star power on the floor night after night. This tension between protecting players and protecting the business model of the league is at the heart of the discussion. Will the NBA and the NBPA find a compromise that prioritizes long-term health, or will financial pressures keep the system largely unchanged until even more injuries force a dramatic shift? To really understand if this is a crisis or just a bad year, we need to step back and look at history. Achilles injuries are not new to the NBA, but the perception of them has changed dramatically. In the past, an Achilles tear was often considered a career ender, with players rarely returning to their previous level of performance. Think about legends like Kobe Bryant, who battled back but was never quite the same, or DeMarcus Cousins, whose dominant all-star trajectory was cut short. On the other hand, Kevin Durant showed that with modern medicine and elite rehab, it is possible to return not just to play, but to play at an MVP level. Statistics suggest that while Achilles tears remain relatively rare compared to ankle sprains or ACL injuries, their impact is disproportionately devastating. In earlier eras, the pace of play and number of possessions were slower, meaning less stress on tendons. Today, the game is faster, the spacing wider, and the reliance on explosive bursts more extreme, which could explain why we are seeing a cluster of cases in a single season. Comparing past and present, one thing stands out. The Achilles has always been a fragile point for athletes, but the modern NBA may be pushing it to the breaking point more often than ever before. So what does this all mean for the future of the NBA? The string of Achilles injuries this season has exposed not only how fragile a player's career can be, but also how the league itself might be at a crossroads. If stars continue to go down, fans lose the rivalries and storylines that drive the sport, teams lose their competitive edge, and the NBA risks damaging its product on a global stage. Some will argue this is nothing more than an unlucky stretch that will fade with time. But others see it as a symptom of deeper issues with the calendar, the style of play, and the demands placed on athletes. Is this just bad luck, or a sign that something fundamental needs to change? What would you change about the NBA schedule to protect the players? Fewer games, more rest days, stricter limits on back-to-backs. The answers could define the next era of basketball. If you want to keep following stories like this, from the hidden struggles of athletes to the behind-the-scenes battles shaping the league, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update from behind the backboard.